Welcome back, Stoned Squad, and of course a big welcome to all those new to the channel. DanIsStoned here, and thank you for all joining me today for another episode of CK3 Academy, the tutorial series for, yes you guessed it, Crusader Kings 3. In today's episode we are going to be talking about holdings, territorial hierarchies, and the feudal system. All three of these things are intricately intertwined, and they represent one of the main cornerstones for the game. In essence, one cannot exist without the other, and we, the player, cannot understand the very fabric of the game without having any basic understanding of these three concepts. So without any further ado, let's dive right into the video, a CK3 guide to holdings and the feudal system. So strap yourselves in, people, this might get a little bit complicated for those not familiar with the system, and it's going to be a bumpy ride. So the first concept that we need to fully understand is that of the feudal system. The game is based around this very concept, where in the medieval world you incarnate an individual that ranges from a count, which is the lowest tier playable, all the way up to an emperor with dukes and kings sandwiched in between. You will play as this character until his death, and then when he suddenly dies, you will take control over the primary heir if there is one. If not, it's game over and you have to start again. Now, grasping this form of social hierarchy is vital to be able to understand what feudalism is. Now, feudalism, or the feudal system, is a form of government where one individual of lower rank pledges fealty, or loyalty if you wish, to another, the second individual being of higher social standing than the first. All this is in exchange for land and protection guaranteed by the overlord, so the individual which is of the higher rank. In exchange, the lower ranked individual must pledge loyalty, pay the liege taxes, and contribute men to the liege's army. This system is a form of contract that binds the two individuals together. The lesser individual is called the vassal, and the higher ranking individual the liege. Now comes a really tricky part. We have to try and translate all of this into the game, so bear with me here, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So in the game you have the lowest rank playable, which is a count, who is the feudal vassal of a duke, the next tier rank. A duke can then be a vassal of a king, and a king a vassal of an emperor. The emperor is the highest rank possible and cannot be a vassal to anyone. However, it is important to note that any one of these individuals can be independent, which means he has nobody above him. This means he has no liege. Now, I did forget to mention there is a really easy way to see the vassalage link, so you can see who is vassal of who. And it is a really neat trick. So all you need to do is zoom out so you can go into the political map mode. So just zoom out enough till the political map appears up here, as you can see. And then if you want to see who is vassal to who, just click on any of the titles which are created. Now, all of these little kind of shields here, these are all the created titles. So all we need to do, let's say if I wanted to see who the Duchy of Aquitaine has of a vassal, so just click on his shield here, and you'll see that the thick yellow lines means that he is the vassal of someone. So you can say the thick yellow line leads all the way up to the King of West Francia. So he, the Duke of Aquitaine, is the vassal to the King of West Francia. If you wanted to see which people are vassal to the Duke, all you need to do is zoom in a bit and you can see the thin white lines, and these link up his vassals. So the Duke of Aquitaine has the Count of Bellac, which is this here, the Count of Bellac. He is a vassal of the Duke of Aquitaine. He also has the Count of Angoulême as his vassal, and he also has the Count of Auvergne as his vassal as well. So just follow the little lines, it makes it a lot easier to find out who is vassal to who. So now we've understood what feudalism is, we can now try to begin to comprehend how the feudal system is represented on the in-game map through the structuring of the said map into territorial hierarchies. Again, if you thought it was a bit complicated before, it gets a little bit trickier, so I'm going to try and go as slowly and as clearly as possible. Anyway, the first thing we need to establish is the different types of holdings. So once that is done, we can then explain how these holdings are organised into different territorial hierarchies. In CK3 there are three types of holdings. The castle, which is the most heavily fortified and provides more levies than taxes. Then you have the cities. These are the wealthiest holding type, favouring taxes over levies. And finally you have temples, which are held by members of the clergy, giving an even mix of levies and taxes. Your realm, no matter what rank you are, so count, duke, king or emperor, is made up of a collection of these holdings. So these holdings are represented on the in-game map as followed. So a cluster of these holdings, so cities, temples and castles, represents a county ruled by a count which is the lowest playable character available. A cluster of counties make up a dukedom, or the duchy, ruled by, yes, you guessed it, a duke. And a group of duchies make up a kingdom, and a group of kingdoms form an empire. Now, to illustrate this, I will use the kingdom of Asturias as an example. Now, please bear with me here, guys. I said it was complicated before, but now it gets a lot more complicated, and you can easily be lost. So I'm going to go slowly and try to explain things as clearly as I can. So, Burgos is a county in Asturias, okay? And this county is made up of 4 holdings, okay? You've got the Barony of Burgos, the City of Palencia, the Bishopric of Lerma, and the Barony of Atapuerca. By the way, baronies are basically castles, for those who don't know. As said, these 4 holdings that I've just cited make up the county of Burgos, and this county is owned by Infante Rodrigo Ramirez of Asturias. In the county of Burgos, so the whole county made up of these 4 holdings, owned by this Rodrigo dude, 2 of the 3 holdings inside this county that are not the county capital, so I'll quickly show you the county capital here. The county capital has a crown next to it, and these 2 other holdings are owned by 2 different people. They're not owned by this Rodrigo guy. You have the Baron of Palencia and the Bishop of Lumarch, okay? These are 2 independent guys in the county holding 2 holdings. The 3rd holding, so the Barony of Atapuerca, is held by Rodrigo the Count because there is no holding built in it. If I show you guys the map now, you'll see the holding is empty. You have no building in there, you have no temple, no city, or no castle. You can build one of these 3 holding types, so city, castle, or temple, at the cost of some gold. So the Baron and the Bishop are both vassals of the Count in the county. Now, this county of Burgos that we've just dissected is part of the wider Duchy of Castile. Just select the Duchy map mode to see what the de jure duchies are, which groups together the de jure, so that is Latin for by law, the 5 counties, okay? So you will notice that only 3 of the counties are owned by the Kingdom of Asturias, the other 2 are owned by the Umayyads. In order to form the duchy, off the top of my head, I think you need half or more than half of the counties necessary to create the duchy. Okay, so these 5 counties that de jure form the Duchy of Castile are Burgos, Valladolid, Olmedo, Cuellar, and Soria. You will notice that the Duchy of Castile happens to be also owned by our dear Rodrigo dude, who, as well as being the Count of Burgos, happens to be the Duke of Castile. So, as the Duke of Castile, we have as a vassal the Count Aldefonso, who happens to own the county of Soria and Cuellar. Yes, a count can own multiple counties. And this count has the people who are owning the barony, cities and temples in his county as vassals. Now, as we go further up the food chain, who does Duke Rodrigo of Castile and Cantabria? Yes, dukes can also hold multiple dukedoms. Who do they answer to? Well, he answers to the king, the character we are playing as King Aldefonso III. So, Duke Rodrigo is a vassal of King Aldefonso. And the chain stops there, with the title of the King of Asturias being the highest title in the realm. If hypothetically we wanted to go a bit further, the king would be a vassal if there was an emperor, which would be the Emperor of Hispania. Again, if you are a little bit stuck and you don't know where the counties, duchies, kingdoms and emperors kind of de jure titles are, just check out the map modes and you can easily find them all. So, in a nutshell, the feudal system is represented on the game map through the different holding types that are castles, temples, and cities. These holdings are grouped together to make up counties, which group together make dukedoms, then kingdoms, then empires. Just remember that almost everyone has a bigger fish ahead of him to whom you pay taxes and levies, unless you are the highest ranking individual in the realm, and then you can pretty much do what the fuck you want. Anyway, I tried to be as clear as possible and make things as simple as I could. I hope this helped you all understand the feudal system in a game where it is essential to understand this very concept in order to understand how to play the game. Always remember, if you get lost, just don't hesitate to use the map modes to figure out what is what. It is super helpful. Anyway, as per usual, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more CK3 content, also do not forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, have a great day, and I'll hopefully catch you all in the next one for some more CK3 Academy. Bye for now.